Good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Fink, and I'm the Marketing Specialist for AVEVA Select California. Thank you for attending our Learn in 30 webinar today, focused on AVEVA's pre-built MES. After the webinar this morning, we'll be doing a short Q&A. Please type any questions or comments into the Q&A box, the chat box, or you can email us at webinar@california.wonderware.com. Now I'd like to introduce your presenters for today's webinar, Rick Cray and Tim Brost. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Annie. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rick Cray. I'm out of the Northern California office. I'm an account manager. And move the screen here. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is, since a lot of you are new to AVEVA, we're changing names from Wonderware. I thought I would introduce you a little bit more to AVEVA initially here, just a couple minutes, and then we'll move it over to Tim. But AVEVA was acquired by Wonderware about just over a year now, and now you'll be seeing some name changes. So, get ready for that. Some of the changes will be in names to products, moving over to the AVEVA brand, and also more towards more functional names, so it'll be easier to understand our various products and services. So these are some of the verticals that AVEVA works in, and it's a London company, and it has a U.S. headquarters in Orange County, which provides training and support. So we're happy that they're local, and it's easy to get down to LA for that sort of thing. The cloud growth is faster currently than perpetual, and we expect that to keep growing. I know a lot of you are interested in moving to the cloud over time and that sort of thing. The latest big news is that OSIsoft, which is the leading historian in the market, has joined together with AVEVA just recently. So we're now offering that, and we look forward to talking with you more about that, and also just showing you a demo in the future. So AVEVA is a leader in industrial digital transformation. A little bit more about AVEVA here. About 20,000 customers and growing. AVEVA plows 16% back into its R&D every year. It's about 6,500 customers. 6,500 employees and growing. On the right side, some of the improvements our customers have been recently experiencing in the last few years, including, for example, overall equipment effectiveness, OEE. I know a lot of you have initiatives around that, so we'd be happy to talk with you about that. Let us know. So AVEVA Select California is who we represent all of California. We are the sole distributor in California. Started selling software in 1992, and E&M is our parent company, and they started back in 1955. They're more of the hardware side of the company. So we've got you covered on both sides of hardware and software. And we are definitely committed to your success. We have a big team in Northern California. We can provide application consulting, IT services, for example. So we can actually load your software onto a server, for example, in our offices and ship it right out to you if you're interested in that, for example. We provide training either on-site or remote. Currently, it's primarily remote, but we are opening a new office in Walnut Creek later this summer. So if things calm down a little bit, we'll be offering some on-site training as well. Free workshops are available right on the AVEVA California site, and technical support. And we have a lot of videos out on YouTube that are 3 to 30 minutes long, depending on what your need is. So please, feel free to check that out as well. And 150, registered system integrators as well. So that's just an overview of AVEVA Select California and also AVEVA overall. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tim.
Great. So Rick, if you stop sharing, I think I'll be. Rick, if you stop sharing, I can share my content.
You should be able to take it now.
You're still sharing.
Okay, let me check that.
I think in Zoom it's at the top, I believe. There we go. Thank you. All right, welcome everyone. My name is Tim Brost and I'm one of the product specialists for AVEVA Select California. So we're going to be talking about our model-driven MES, and it's been rated in the top upper right-hand quadrant of the Gartner Magic Quadrant for manufacturing execution systems. And we're going to kind of go through a little bit of PowerPoint. I don't want to spend too much time there and just dive right into the software. Hopefully that kind of paints a better picture of what our MES solution has to offer. So our MES kind of solution sits, in this operations management kind of sector. And within that, it allows for things like ERP integration. You can snap on modules like Finite scheduling, real-time integration to your SCADA information. And then really, kind of another key component of what makes our model-driven MES is the ability to digitize and standardize business workflows and operating procedures. So just to kind of explain a little bit more on why our AVEVA MES. So our MES solution from its core is encompassing the entire value chain, or the industrial process chain of a manufacturing facility. Being able to handle things like inventory, production, quality, traceability, performance, and scheduling. And with that, provide some more value by natively integrating into a real-time data platform, which we call system platform, to pull in some automation data when appropriate into the MES system, and vice versa. And in addition to just pulling in information, that real-time data platform of system platform allows you to standardize how you've constructed and build a lot of these MES components, and that plays a role in kind of overall maintenance of the solution, as well as multi-site rollout. And then over on the left, workflow, it's been rebranded as work task, but basically that's our digital practices or digital procedures for business rules, things like exception-based logic or non-conformance logic of when things are the exception to the rule. How do you want your business and your users to handle that situation? And that kind of software can kind of drive that those actions. And then over on the right-hand side, we have our reporting, right? Ultimately, the goal of any MES solution is, yeah, you want to gather all the data, but you want to be able to report on it, right? Be able to see how my operations are functioning with what we expect versus what we're actually seeing, and contextualizing all that information with not just the MES data, but things like other information, like maybe ERP information, SAP information, if you have an EAM solution, maybe a LIMS solution, as well as things like SCADA information as well. And there's a native ETL tool, or extract, transfer, load, to kind of contextualize and contextualize all that different siloed information, and then store it in a ready format in a data store, where then you can use a business intelligence tool of your choice to extract and construct those types of reports. And from a high level, really the goal is to link the people of your organization and your manufacturing process, kind of leverage with reusable out-of-the-box content that gets you kind of that 80-20 relationship of a good starting point of when you actually deploy these types of solutions for not just the initial site, but subsequent sites. You can be able to really develop that standard and reuse that standard across multiple sites as your facility or company grows. So how do we do it? So what you guys see is commercially out-of-the-box content, different kinds of modules that have screens and pre-built business logic of how you want some basic functionality to interact with the system. And as we deliver that, some of our more endorsed partners have access to additional content to supplement that. And how we really drive and build that content really comes from our end user deployment solutions, right? We get feedback from our customers, from our partnered SIs who are actually implementing the solutions. And based on that feedback, incorporate more and more out of the box content and or refining that content to improve upon it upon each subsequent release. So this solution is a pretty mature solution. The model-driven concept is, I think, in Rev 4. So there's been lots of different functionality that's been added to make kind of that out-of-the-box solution much more consumable and meeting the breadth of the need of the end user. And within our MES solution, right, you can have as fully manual or fully automated, depending on the stage of implementation of the MES solution and or the stage of your actual facility itself, right? If you have the logic to, at the controller level to integrate into the solution, we can consider that and bring it in. And if you're just starting out, maybe you want to get something running, fully manual is a good starting point. And then maybe in a phased approach, implementing some automation into the MES solution. So as I mentioned, right, as you build out your templates for your first site, you can reuse that standard across other sites. So yes, we give you a starting point, and as you morph and modify that starting point to adapt to your business needs and corporate requirements, you can then apply those corporate requirements across multiple sites, which allows for a much smoother process when talking about multi-site implementation. So I talked about this a little bit, but just to kind of reiterate, right, the model-driven, I would say, backbone is through what we call work tasks. And this is the solution that digitizes those business workflows and business rules, allowing for a very easy interface for actually structuring the logical workflow of how actions and responses drive that kind of logic that you see over here on the left-hand side. Then the easily created forms, right? There's a lot of drag and drop tools and out-of-the-box content, but as with most things AVEVA, those kinds of forms and content can be easily extended through an open scripting interface. And then once you've designed those workflows and designed those forms, right, being able to consume them from a desktop or even a mobile device through the native mobile app is possible. So just to kind of highlight what you might see or what you will see, not might, but will see in our model-driven demo. So what we have is kind of a demo bottling line in a beverage manufacturer. So you have kind of two separate processes. First, making a semi-finished good, a couple of blending and reacting operations. And then there's a few different lines where we're taking that semi-finished good, adding some other components, and ultimately palletizing the product that's ready to be shipped. So highlighting a couple capabilities of, each of the different components and modules that come with model-driven MES. So production management, right? Being able to integrate with an ERP system, pull those work orders in and manage them from a dashboard perspective, seeing, what the current state of the imported work orders are in the MES solution, as well as being able to release, suspend, and manage any kind of changes to those work orders. It includes things like routing instructions, bombs, and SOPs required to for your operators to complete that work order. So inventory management, being able to handle not only just a hierarchy of storage and stock locations, be assigning different kinds of states to particular types of inventory, but do inventory management from being able to reclassify inventory, split lots, combine lots, and do that kind of high-level functional inventory management capabilities right out of the box. Performance management, being able to manage uptime, downtime events from the operator's perspective, right? If you're operating in a manual facility, right, being able to manually assign those downtime events to specific pieces of equipment or operations. And then as with that, the ability to manage those events in terms of merging or splitting those events, as needed. And then as you kind of phase into the ability to automate these kinds of concepts, being able to have these utilization events or states be populated from the integration with the control system. So quality management, right? Being able to perform and have a place, a form to perform quality checks, making sure that the product that you guys are making are in spec, and if it does fail to meet spec, the proper capabilities or paths to enforce that rework to make sure that product is in spec. And then once you've performed the check, being able to report against that with some out-of-the-box SBC charts and dashboards. And then traceability, right? Everything is captured within the MES system, right? Where product is going, how the lots have been split, how the downtime events are associated to the operations. All that is stored in context, but then being able to, out of the box, report on that information is crucial. And so AVEVA provides a wide range of out-of-the-box reports that leverage SQL Server reporting services. And as I mentioned before, you can kind of extend this functionality to leverage a ETL tool, extract, transfer, and load, to contextualize all that information, put it in a data store, and extend that beyond, and using things like Power BI and Tableau against that data store. So these are kind of the out-of-the-box reports, things like OEE analysis, the production events, the genealogy by lot, genealogy by work order, any kind of quality characteristic detail reports. Those are all kind of out-of-the-box reports that you can leverage. So here's a quick video of a user kind of exploring one of those out-of-the-box reports. In this case, it's a downstream genealogy report. So they're going to open it up and enter in a lot number. And as they enter in that lot number, they'll be able to see, that lot number and the downstream genealogy that is pertained to that lot number. And as he or she clicks on a given lot, they'll be able to see a more detailed report on things like the production request, the material consumed, produced, and the equipment utilized, as well as some maybe trends relating to a particular equipment operation. And then, the performance data like downtimes and OEE, and that quality data, where you can then pull up a report of maybe a quality characteristic detail report. And you can return to the top level and do that all again. We'll skip that one. Here's an example of the Power BI dashboard. An example. This is an EBR report or dashboard. So an electronic batch record report that we mocked up as an example of what's possible using something that's a little bit more prettier than your traditional SQL Server reporting services capabilities. So integration, how do we do that? We do that through what we call Enterprise Integrator, which is essentially a message bus, which allows the message exchange between those two systems or multiple systems. So like ERPs like Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, Oracle, and NetSuite, for example. Those are kinds of the capabilities that Enterprise Integrator allows for. And it's not just the message exchange, but the ability to have store forward capability. So in the event that it loses that connection, you're not losing those transactions between the two systems. And then lastly, right, we talked about finite scheduling. And really that's, think of it as a Google Maps for your manufacturing facility, right? When you pull up Google Maps, it gives you a destination. But really what's going behind the scenes in Google Maps is it's really optimizing the best path route to get to that destination and assessing a lot of real-time information. This is the same thing with our scheduling tool, as it does a lot of constraint, apply theory of constraint methodologies to kind of best route the best path of how you can carry out and organize all your incoming work orders, and then optimize it not just in the best path, but what you might consider the most weight for your system or your facility rather. Things like, do you care about the quickest changeover time, or do you want the cheapest cost, or do you want the highest throughput? Those kinds of weighting factors will optimize how this scheduling software kind of optimizes your incoming work orders. With that said, we'll kind of quickly dive into a little bit of our model-driven demo. I'll log in here. So here we've got kind of a home page of a generic facility. We have our semi-finished good operation over on the left, and we have our our finished good operation on the right with our 3 lines. Now, some of the out-of-the-box content is presented here in kind of a tree of selections. And if I go to the supervisor selection, I can see, usually the first starting point is, work order management. With that work order management, I can see the currently available work orders, things that are ready or things that are running, and details behind those things. With any of these selected, I can select bill of materials, and so I can see the bill of materials that is required for that work order. In this case, we're making a semi-finished good with some raw ingredients to finish to create our semi-finished good 1, for example. And then we can see some operational specs, and then if there were any downtime events logged, you can see this from here as well. So one thing to note is as I click on these work orders, I can see kind of a snapshot of the operational process up at the top. And the different colors indicate what has been completed, indicated by blue, and what is currently running. So in this case, this work order is currently on the reactor 1 piece of equipment. This work order is just on Blender 1, for example. So I can click on that, and it'll navigate me directly to that piece of equipment in a job screen, where I can do things like start, suspend, and manage the job from an administrative perspective. And then as a user, I can assign production or quantity produced for the current job. So as I'm monitoring and viewing the operation, I can add content or quantities of this job and assign a production reason and, you know, a lot number. So as I click produce, you'll see this kind of progress bar at the top will kind of complete. And I can see kind of a history of the BOM that has been consumed and things like performance information on the piece of equipment. I can view some more KPIs and the kind of quick genealogy in a sankey diagram that I can see, you know, how my material is flowing from a high level point of view. So back on the queue page, right, I can complete the job and do there. And so, you know, I would go, you know, from my processing from Blender 1 to Reactor 1 and so forth through my operation. Now, let's say I want to perform a quality check. So I can go to my quality section in my sample management page. And I can see, you know, a quick snapshot of what I've currently completed, maybe some things that I've got pending, or I can create a new quality check. So I can pick the type of test operation that I want. In this case, I'll do a fill inspection, pick the location, you know, assign a work order, a time, and, you know, a piece of equipment, or not piece of equipment rather, but an item that I want to associate to it. And so I can save that. It'll populate in my screen. And with it selected, I can fill out the results. So as I click on this detailed button, it'll give me kind of a result detail screen that gives me a kind of a progress bar indicator with some indications of the minimum and maximum value limits, as well as kind of a short history trend of past values for this quality check. So I can, as I enter in values and save them, right, it'll give me a result. And if I put something out of spec, right, the progress bar changes and the result will indicate here. Now I can continue through this and I'll just do one more maybe. But going back to my sample dashboard, I can see that this has been in progress. I can finalize it, apply. I'm going to actually back up, undo final, and go back to my results. I'll finish it out. Oh, here it is. So we can see that it's been highlighted as an out of spec piece of or quality check. And I could go into my SPC section and see kind of the charting report. This is just some example data of that information. So I could scrub through on the different number of samples and see, you know, which items have been in spec and which have been out of spec, and I can kind of see the ones that have been highlighted show out of spec. Lastly, I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to show was the inventory management. So yes, we've talked about being able to split lots and combine lots, but what's also available is kind of, you know, a more interactive sankey diagram where I can navigate through my process and see not just the kind of a quantity that's been associated to each operation and how it's flowing within my manufacturing routing process, but I can see things like the associated work orders to each process that have been assigned to that specific lot. And as I go navigate through, right, I can see kind of that flow. There's much more that's a part of this kind of solution. I just wanted to highlight on a few things within the visual representation of the software in our demo. And with that, I think we've hit our 30-minute mark, but I'll open the floor for any questions that may have come in for that. So thank you.
Perfect, thanks, Tim. So we did have a few questions. Our first one is, do you already have integration with NetSuite?
So that's something I would say a specific account. I think in California, we haven't encountered a detailed or a specific integration with NetSuite yet. We've been talking to customers who are looking at NetSuite and using our MES to do that with. Through the broader AVEVA kind of solution providers, I'm sure that there's been some NetSuite integrations, and we can refer to those and bring those up and refer those to you. But at the end of the day, integrating with any ERP solution, a lot of the times is, a message exchange between, the MES system and the ERP system. So it's defining those requirements of how the message should be structured to enable that integration.
Wonderful, thanks, Tim. And then our next question is, what is the general timeline to natively integrate AVEVA's MES with my SCADA system?
So it's kind of an open-ended question. I mean, the general timeline really depends on what you're wanting to accomplish. And I would say our most common response to that is we usually implement kind of a phased approach, right? Having kind of like a 3-ish month timeline to get something up and running, and usually in a manual fashion. And then in, subsequent phases, incorporating things like the process automation integration, or maybe integration with other systems to make and refine kind of the digital workflow within the MES solution. So starting off, you can get something running in, 3-ish month time range, maybe a little bit more, maybe 6 months. And then going beyond that, right, you'd want, future phases to accomplish those tasks.
Perfect. And then do the model-driven MES forms shown in the demo come standard with the application?
Yeah, so the forms that we've shown in the demo come with the model-driven MES solution. And in addition to just those forms, but like, the specific content, like things like you saw, like the little dashboard card icon or the progress bar, all those kind of visualization graphics also come out of the box as well. And it's not just the forms, but it's also the business logic behind those forms of when you click the split lot button, what do you want the MES database to do as well? Wonderful.
And then does the MES sit in the cloud, or is it local? For example, on a server or servers at each location?
Yeah, so our MES solution, I would say, primarily sits on-premise. However, we have incorporated parts of that MES solution in the cloud. And there is also different cloud components that you can integrate with the MES solution to kind of allow for kind of a hybrid approach to it. So a little bit of both. But this one, and what you're seeing here, the majority of it will most of the time sit on-premise.
Perfect. And then what percentage of what we are seeing is out of the box versus customized during implementation?
So what we saw today, the screens that you saw today are out of the box. Obviously, the population of the content themselves is what would need to be implemented and customized. So, for example, like I go back to this work order management screen, right? The buttons and the different tabs that you see at the top, all these different types of screens and how these screens have behaved comes out of the box. Obviously, the details and the contents of those screens would need to be implemented.
Perfect. And then is the configuration cloud-based, and is the back-end data stored to pre-built SQL database tables?
So there is a MES database structure that you can modify and adjust to meet different business requirements, and then the development some of the development can be done in the cloud, but obviously we have a solution called Integration Studio where it allows for a lot of cloud development. But ultimately the actual implementation would be done on premise. So that workflow would be develop in the cloud within Integration Studio, which is another cloud development tool that we offer, and then exporting that content and then importing it into your on-premise MES production system.
Wonderful. And then does your MES have ability to automate data input through use of barcoding, QR codes, and RFID?
Yeah, absolutely. We do that all the times, whether it's like putting them on buggies or carts to track product. We can incorporate barcodes or RFID tags. The specifics of that obviously depend on the current customer's solution, but yes, we do that all the time.
Wonderful. And it looks like this is our last one for now. Does AVEVA have a demo site we can navigate to look at model-driven MES?
So we don't have like a live site to interact with the demo that you're showing here. We have a ton of videos that we're happy to pass along to you that show kind of the breadth of what this out-of-the-box model-driven MES demo provides. And then if you reach out to us as well, like your account manager, we can kind of have a more deep dive into what comes with it as well. So we can provide both things.
Perfect. And then how much training is offered and required to implement the MES?
Required, I mean, I would say that with a MES solution, what we typically do is work with a partner or an integrator partner to deliver the initial implementation. And upon that delivery, we'll train your stakeholders to own the solution in the best way that they are capable of, whether it's that's just from an operations perspective, or if you want to take on more of the development end. There's a couple different training courses that you'd probably need to take and understand to kind of own the solution entirely. Amount of training, it just depends. I mean, it's we'll say a couple courses, 2-3 courses would probably get you a good starting point.
Wonderful, thanks, Tim. And it looks like that wraps up our questions for now.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys staying a little bit longer than 30 minutes, and definitely appreciate the engagement. So thank you.
And if anyone else has any questions, feel free to reach out to your account managers or anyone else on the AVEVA Select California team, and we'll get you in touch with the right people to get those questions answered. So thank you, Tim, and thank you to everyone who attended. If anyone would like to review any portion of this webinar, a recording will be available on YouTube and our website, california.wonderware.com, once available, and you'll be receiving a copy of it via email. Thank you again for attending, and have a great day.